son. He's 28 now, but he's always helped us get set up with our iPhones and our plans with the providers. He's got accommodation through work, and so he's often gone with me getting a new phone. The last time we did this, we went over to the store so I could update my phone. And he's talking to the guy because the plan is through his work accommodation. And we're talking about things I want for the phone. And he was going to go pick some things up for me. He works at Best Buy, so he was going to go there. He could get some things like a screensaver, protector, stuff like that. Um, so we're in process, the phone's loading and all that. And he looks at the rep who's working with us and he's like, I'm going to run over, get some things from the store around the corner, and then I'll be back. And I'm sitting there like, are you asking him to babysit me? Like, I'm leaving my little mama here and I'm going to go do some things, but then I'll be back. And it just made me laugh. Like he felt like he had to take care of me. And I so appreciate all he does for us. I still remember the very first iPhone I got. Well, maybe it wasn't the first, one of the ones they were going to set it up at the store. And he's like, I'll do it for you at home or whatever. And having his support for that and understanding of how those things work. But it's just a very funny situation sitting there, like, and the guy didn't even blink twice about it. And I was like, you're having the need to tell him that you're heading out of the store. So do you find yourself in that situation where your kids are talking to you like, Mom, Dad, I'm concerned about your welfare, your mental state, your cognition, and are starting to
Whether we're
look out
young
for
or
you?
old, yeah.
I mean, I'm 56 years old, and it's kind of funny to have him looking that way, especially because I just finished helping my mom care for my dad till he passed, and my mom's in her early 80s, and so as we engage in these endeavors,
Well, hello, this is Don,
and this is Gina with Focused Healthy Family.
and this is podcast number 198. And today we're talking about holiday get-togethers and maybe beginning a conversation with kids.
So thinking about ourselves as we are aging, even in this, we might be in the midst of caring for an aging parent. Yet, what about us? How old are you? And we never know when things can happen. But first,
Yeah, I'm going to do the tip for today, and today our tip is coming from, see if I can get my,
it's blurring it
yeah, I know,
because
it's
it's
because
zooming in on your
now I
face.
got it in front of me. Caregiver 101, 101 ways to keep caregiving from making you crazy with Mike Collins. And this is tip number 84, and it's a caregive holidays number 5. It says, put Amazon and all those catalogs you get in the mail to work and let the postal or delivery services do the carrying. The more shopping you can do from home, the better off you are. It's easier, more convenient, and considering how stressful the crowded shopping malls can be at the holidays, take less of a toll on your stress level. Make a game of it. See how many of your gift responsibilities you can complete from one source.
So that's one idea. I think online shopping is great. We do want to think about local and small businesses
Yeah,
to
that's good.
support them. But I can so relate to this. I went out, met up with my son's girlfriend. She's part of the family. And we went into like a Dollar Tree store and I was looking at some stocking stuffer things and I picked a few items up. And then I looked at the line. So this was Saturday afternoon. I'm someone who's worked weekends over the years, and so I'm not used to shopping on a Saturday. And the line was so long. I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm not standing in this line. And it was just amazing. We went over to the department store where my youngest works and just seeing the lines there. And it's just like, wow, why do people go and stand in these really long lines? And it's funny because we live in kind of a small city, and other times of year going into these stores, it's very quiet. There's not a lot happening there. And I always wonder, how do they stay in business? Well, the holidays, right?
Well, and they also, just a little extra note of that, it doesn't hurt to get out once in a while too. Being at home, just ordering all the time, it kind of secludes you in the house, and we want to get out sometimes. Doesn't mean you have to do it all the time.
Right. Going to small local businesses, local thrift stores, local shops, local bookstores can be a great way to support small businesses. So before we get into this anymore, I have a joke for you, Don.
Okay.
Why are Christmas trees bad at knitting?
All the knitting goes on here. I don't know.
They always drop their needles. What did one snowman say to the other who was complaining?
Snowman say to the other who was complaining. I didn't know snowmen complain, but okay. What did they say?
Don't worry, you'll melt under pressure. I'm not sure I understand that one, but
You should have read that one ahead of time.
what do you call Santa when he takes a break?
I don't know.
Santa Paws.
Santa Claus. Oh, you got one
What do
more?
gingerbread men use when they break their legs?
That sounds like something from that movie. I don't know. What did they use?
Candy canes.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
What did the snowman say to the aggressive carrot?
I don't know.
Get out of my face.
Do we get to rate these on the best to last here? 'Cause
Yeah. Um, why did the little drummer boy put his drum to bed?
trying to think of those songs, just if there's something in it, but I don't know.
It was beat.
Okay.
The drum was beat.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay. What do you call a snowman with a six pack?
A drunk. Um, I don't know. What do you call a snowman with a six pack?
An abdominal snowman.
You mean the six pack on
Okay,
the
this is a good
chest
one
is
to
a
end on.
okay.
What is green, covered in Christmas lights and Christmas bulbs, and goes ribbit?
I don't know.
A mistletoe.
That was a little better. We have to.
So here we are, a week before Christmas, or a week and a half. This will air a week before, and it's cold here in Salisbury, as you can tell. I went out with my daughter with a hat on, and um, I need to keep the hat on because it flattened my hair. So we're in the car, and our youngest likes to listen to NPR. Yes, she's 16. And they were interviewing a man from the MIT Age Lab
McLaughlin.
and about the longevity studies at the Age Lab. And my daughter's like, look, Mom, this is for you. And they were talking about research that they do. He was talking about the sandwich generation, those of us caring for aging loved ones and children. And he said he thinks it'd be better to be called the panini generation because we're really smashed in there.
Yeah, I didn't understand
A
that one
panini
myself.
is it's like a sandwich that's been pressed.
Okay.
Um, and to me, it's not always about the pressure, but it's just about the fact that you're juggling multiple things. I mean, um, and so yeah, we have, there's a lot going on, a lot we have to do. And so they're actually doing research on this, and we can share the link to the Age Lab at MIT. You can become a part of their study, their research study. You can volunteer in different ways, but they talk about um, caregiving, and they talk about planning for your own older years and talking with family members about what it is you want for yourself. And as we talked about, we think about this with my parents, and Don's parents are deceased, but we're getting older,
Yeah.
and we need to not make the assumption, and we need to talk with our own kids about our own desires. It's so important to have wills updated and having power of attorney information in place. This is really important because we never know what could happen to us, and having that in place can be key in the event that something does happen.
Well, you talked about just in thinking about that with like your dad's the will with your dad. Wasn't there something about and or in the what was that something
Well,
that
we
was
discovered with accounts when my father passed, if the checking account was written in both their names, then it would have to go through probate or whatever because he's no longer living. But she had it as or, and that saved a lot of hassle.
ah
Um,
we probably need to check on that too.
I went to her estate lawyer to discuss things. And yeah, I learned a few things from that experience. So yeah, but having that conversation with family members, whether it's talking about your parents, if you have siblings or other family members that could be involved, or for yourself with your own children. The holidays are a time of year we might be getting together with these people. And you may think, wow, this is a heavy subject to bring up. Most people don't want to talk about this. They don't want to think about if something happens, who's going to take care of these things. Yet we need to have these conversations. And an easy way to do it, or a more gentle way, is think of a friend if you have to make up a story, but oftentimes we can think of someone we know and whoever either they had things in place or they didn't. And just kind of sharing that to kind of get the ball rolling to start a conversation. And, even planting the idea of, yeah, maybe we could, after the holidays, we could arrange a time, whether it's online or whatever, to talk a little bit more about this. And, whether it needs to be just you and your siblings talking first, or if it's you and a parent, finding a way to do that, whether you want to get someone else involved, talking to a lawyer who deals with geriatric law, um, thinking through those steps. There's lots of resources out there for support with this, but it's important to just start that conversation because otherwise, someone gets sick, something happens, you don't have things in place, you
Yeah.
haven't discussed anything, and that just adds a whole lot more stress. Oftentimes, it gets burden placed on one person and they're just taking care of everything. I've had family members when I've worked with patients over the years, oh, my brother, he's busy doing whatever, and so it's all left on her. And there's so many aspects of how people can be involved, even if they're not currently present in the, near location of the person. I know my brother was great about jumping in with things he could research online.
Mhm.
Um, um, helped out with those avenues. He had some benefits from his job that talked about caregiving support. And so different ways that people can contribute. Someone can send meals or other things, or help pay for some things if they're not able to be there, but maybe they have the financial resources to help.
Well, something, this kind of steps backwards when you talk. I don't know why this is going through my head, but when you talk about the panini and being squished down, I think it makes me think about how once we get to a certain age, we kind of smush down the person's way of thinking, the way of, we have so much knowledge when we get this age, and but yet we lose our job, we lose or not lose, but we retire or whatever, and it kind of does smush us down. We don't share our knowledge out,
So you're
and
talking about the aging person. The smushing is because you're in the middle of caring for older people and younger
I
people.
was thinking of maybe I was thinking of the person itself,
But you're
but I
talking
mean,
about sort of discrediting.
well, we kind of lose ground at a certain point where people, I don't know, there's kind of this funny line of, when for a father anyway, for the young age of the children, the father they tend to look at the father as not so smart, or whatever. It's when they get in their late 20s, early 30s, they start realizing the father is smart. But then when the father retires, it kind of like it
Yeah,
goes backwards in a way.
it
I
can
don't know.
shift. Yeah, I've had people complain that my kids are talking to me like, I'm
Their
the
children.
child, but I'm still the parent. Like they still that control that, it's about we all want that sense of independence. We don't want other people telling us what to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so,
Well, it's like you talk about, going to the the AT&T store and your son leaves and tells the guy, I'm leaving my mom here, it kind of plays on that a little bit in a way. I mean, it's funny because we know our kids well and all, but it's still a little bit diminishing in a way.
Well, it's more that he felt that responsible for me.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and he was handling the information with the phone, but it wasn't that I wasn't capable. But talking about it before there's an issue, because when you're
yeah.
thrown into crisis with it, it's good to kind of put those feelers out there, and it can be a very difficult thing to discuss. Maybe your parent does not want to talk about this. Um,
Sorry.
you lean to the side, but you could have flipped up your mic.
Sorry. Yeah,
Very loud nose blowing. Um,
can't help it. This new thing is just
Making your
running my
nose
nose a
run.
little crazy here.
So having these conversations, right? Yeah, we want to have fun at the holidays, and also connecting with our loved ones, starting conversations with people. Maybe you one sibling or somebody, one person you can confide in, and they can get the ball rolling. Maybe one person talks better with mom or dad than the others, and but trying to all be on the same page with it. But yeah, we also, those of us kind of that are uh Generation X even, and Don's a younger baby boomer, that we need to think about these conversations even when we're in the midst of caring for our parents. It's still something we can be thinking about, and making sure things are in place, making sure wills are up to date, checking, our power of attorney status. What's the alternate? If something happens to me or Don, um, after one of us, make sure it's not my parents. Make sure it's, our now adult child, or figuring that out. So kind of thinking about those things, and whether even it's just like, hey, we should get together and talk about this, making a plan, setting it up, um, to be able to move forward with that. Other thoughts, Don?
uh, I'm trying to think because we like I say we I didn't get to listen to much of that interview this afternoon, but he does talk a lot about talking, like you said, to the kids early and getting it all out, making sure. I think for you and I, we need to think about going back through our different accounts and making sure they're ors versus ands and that
Well, he also talked about like paying for things. What would you ideally like as far as where you'd want to live, but also what can you afford? What, and even researching now, what resources are out there, what community resources are available, what support is there available, and kind of thinking to the future with that, and what that could look like for you.
I'm kind of curious too. We have we've kind of changed our diet and we do gluten free and avoiding a lot of things. What that's going to be like when we get older is are we going to find places that can satisfy those needs that we have? And our kids are a lot of them are gluten. We're all pretty much gluten free, and whether we'll be able to keep that going as we get older.
um, yeah, so hopefully, um, there'll be healthier eating options down the road. Right now, it's not always the best in any kind of senior community, the foods they're feeding people. I know my mom's discovering now that she's not cooking for herself, and she's eating most of her meals where she lives in a retirement community. Yeah, you're kind of at will of what they're serving, even if you have choices. It's being prepared the way they prepare it, not the way you prepare it. She talks about how they oversalt things. She's not used to putting salt when she cooks, and just having to adjust to that. But it can affect our health even without us realizing, we're eating differently.
Well, and I would think too that it's kind of like well, I don't know. Every meal is everybody's different, but with our meals, we don't have dessert every time we go. Your mom has it every time she goes. She can have salad, which is good, but I would imagine it might add on. some weight to people because they
They're
see
always
their
being
desserts, they go for it kind of thing.
offered
Uh,
desserts. Yeah. Yeah, so any kind of change. So have a little fun with it. We need to find the list of those movies that we watched on, put them on a link to them. There's a really fun movie we watched about um, the woman who got her identity, her no, her someone faked to being their grandchild and stole money, got money from her, and she went to get it back, and it was kind of a fun little adventure. So there's different movies and things that can kind of bring up these issues in a lighthearted way. Kind of, if you really have no idea what it's going to be like talking to your siblings or whoever about this, watching a movie like that, talking about it, even if you don't watch it together, kind of opening that conversation to kind of get an idea of where they stand with it. And sometimes it's a matter of having that really difficult conversation. Like, we really it'd be better to talk about this now before something happens. And it can be difficult for a lot of people, as the research shows from the MIT Age Lab, that most people aren't having these conversations. And
well, I mean, you think about with what we've gone through, there's been two times at least that could have been, could have turned out the different way. And, I think, I don't know if I want to use that as a story,
referring
but
to, yeah, he's had two massive heart attacks that could have ended very differently than they did. He might not have survived them. Both of them were life-threatening. And yeah, and yeah, what things do we have in place? I know we ran into a password problem. We probably talked about this shortly after you recovered last year, but Don has a special password app, and he had a small stroke after his heart attack, and he couldn't remember the password to be able to go in to open his accounts up and things. And so we had to have a real discussion about this once he got into it. Um, of being able to remember that. So those kinds of things can be challenging, because what if something happens and even if you're still alive, but you're not able
can't
to
remember.
recall it or communicate it with somebody, then what? Then what happens? So making sure, and if you're single, that if you have kids, making sure someone is aware of this information.
Yeah, there's
Because
this,
yeah, it can create a great challenge
I
if
mean,
something
there's
happens.
been quite a bit of, I know in AARP, they've talked a lot about aging as a single person, whether it's divorced and, and people are doing better at it, but there's a lot of changes that you need to be able to, do in that particular case. And if you don't have kids and you're saying that,
Yeah.
so you got to find some way to be able to, so you're not, hey, we've heard, I can remember a couple of different stories I've heard of people that died and nobody knew it, and somebody finally, you know, got into the house or whatever and found them, but they were dead for a while, kind of thing. You don't want that to happen. And
No.
that,
Yeah, because whether, I've got people I work with, it's their niece, that's in charge of their estate or their power of attorney or helps them out with things, who is it that you can have in place that you can count on? And oftentimes it happens by default, but, and it'd be great to kind of think through this ahead of time and have some conversations in advance. Um, and rather than, making that assumption, oh, our oldest son, he'll take care of it. Have a conversation.
yeah,
I know my mom discussed with us about power of attorney, the financial side, the medical side, and one of us helping with one and one with the other, and just kind of setting those things in place. But she did kind of discuss it with us. And I mean, it was brought to her attention greatly by, my dad's illness and caring for him. But it's important to take care of these things because, I mean, life can turn on a dime. But on a lighter note, when you're getting together this holiday season, whether you like gaming or not, I thought I'd share one of our new family favorite games. It's called Quicks. It's a dice game, and it's so much fun. One of my daughter's friends introduced it to her, and we've been playing it regularly. This is the regular version. Um, but it comes with these colored dice and regular dice, and you roll, and you have to achieve five in a row in order to earn special points, but having fun little games. They're quick, easy little games for people to play. There's different card games out there. It can be so fun as a way to connect with other people and can be a great opportunity for starting conversations and, bringing things up lightly while you're in the midst of doing something fun.
Well, and you're gonna have to think of the name, but I'm a Scrabble person, but now there's the other one that Harrison introduced to us, where you put the different colored blocks and they have to match them
Yeah,
and
Quirkle.
Quirkle. That's a
It's a colors and shapes. It's kind of like Scrabble, but with colors and shapes, and it's a lot of fun. It takes a little bit longer to play that game, but yeah, there might be games that people don't aren't traditional games that play a little differently, but they also really involve our cognitive skills, which I'm always telling people we need to exercise our brains just like we need to exercise our arms and legs and other parts of our body. So, but fun little games, teaching grandkids getting different generations involved together with these games can be a lot of fun. Um, Red 7 is another fun one. We haven't played this in a while, but um, it's a card game with the rules are changing and based on the card that you play. And so you really have to pay attention, be quick on your feet, and always, there's the old standards, just basic card games. There's Uno. I know with my dad was a great part card player, but when his cognition declined, I pulled out the Uno cards because it was something that would be simpler that he could follow and keep up with when his cognition was such that he couldn't continue to enjoy the other card games like he did. There was another golf game my mom found. It was
well,
a
there's
fun
always
game.
Yahtzee, which gets you in the numbers game and getting
Hmm.
your numbers straightened up. And then there was the one where we had the colors, we had a
Hues
whole
and clues.
hues and clues. Yes,
Yes, you you
that
you
was
you have a board of gradient colors, like of 100, and you have a card that's got one of the colors on it, and you have to get people to identify the location based on your clues.
you know
And
that was
it's
the
a
toughest
challenging.
game.
It's very challenging, but again, and it's fun, but you've got to come up with words other than, red, green, etc. We have to come up with other ways of identifying. Yes, and that's kind of a fun little guessing game with each other. Of course, there's the old standards like Clue or Monopoly. Bringing back some games that you played as a kid that you could play, with other family members.
Monopoly, you almost need a total separate room to set up so you could go day by day. And because if as a child, my gosh, when we played Monopoly, Vic and I would play, and we had a whole downstairs, so we could put it there and leave it there. We didn't have animals and we would play for sometimes 1 or 2 weeks on a game until it finally settled out. One of us bankrupted or whatever. But it's a fun game to play, but it doesn't end in one day, or at least if you want to go the whole game
So you guys
gambit
were
of it.
playing after school kind of thing every day, and
Yeah.
depending on how much time you had. But yeah, there's quick games that are short and easy to play. There's also online gaming. We've talked about this before. Um, but some of our favorite are the Jackbox games that you
Mm.
go online to play, and we've done it with people from multiple locations and can be just a lot of fun. Um, and we've even gone online over Zoom and played quicks together. Someone found an online dice roller, and um, one person did the rolling via the computer assisted dice rolling, and we each had our scorecards separately. So, there's different variations of some different games. Our youngest has made up extra scorecards for one of the games just to save on having to purchase those. Um, kids making up their own games. Our kids did that when they were little, gifting them blank cards, kind of index cards or other things to design their own game. It can be fun creativity to do things like that. There's so many different games out there now, even for people who you think don't like games. And then, of course, bringing back those other ones like backgammon or checkers or chess or, that's a good way to incorporate different generations engaging with each other. Um, grandpa teaching his grandson playing chess or granddaughter or whatever the combination is. But
Well, they're
Well, they're
good
good
gifts
gifts
too.
too.
Plus,
Plus, they
they
have there's different companies out there that make special ones for like uh, special needs kids and things like that that can be helpful too.
yeah, and there's games that are conversation starters. Growing up as a kid in the 70s, my parents had the Ungame, and it wasn't a game where you win or lose, it was all conversation starters. And there are other games like that now that kind of help engage with family members. And so, um, some of my favorite are the we have to guess what cards the person will pick. Kind of guessing what their likes and dislikes are. There's a few different games like that. The names are not coming to me currently.
Yeah, I was just thinking of
I
that
need
one
to play
too.
some more games to exercise my brain, but just some different things to do this holiday season, whether you're doing it virtually or in person, pulling out old games. Buying a game is a gift because that's a great opportunity then if you're gathering with people. Um, to share it with everybody. It can be a great family gift, and it can be a way to help engage conversation while you're playing a game. Just kind of start.
Well, we used to as I was older, I got together with my brother and his wife's family, and we used to play Pictionary. Um, but we did it. Um, Actually, wasn't Pictionary. It was
Win,
we'd take
lose.
two encyclopedias. I mean, which we don't have that much anymore. But and we'd look for the strangest word in the dictionary. You didn't think anybody else would know.
Encyclopedia or a dictionary?
Well, I guess yeah, it could be. I'm sorry, it could be a dictionary. But you look for the strangest word, and your team would have to write descriptions for it, and one person would write the right description, and the other team had to guess what that
What the word actually means.
which one was the right answer. We had a blast with that, and now I don't know. I guess you could get online to a dictionary or
Jackbox
something.
game has a game like that, but there's other games similar to it. Um, yeah, the other one we kind of re-brought out that we hadn't played in years, um, where you roll the letter and you have categories of things that you have to fill in. Um,
Oh boy, you're asking me, the memory person that doesn't have that memory.
where's the game? It might be sitting out here. But yeah, there's a die with different letters of the alphabet, and there's cards with like 12 categories. And so if you roll a W, everyone's got to fill in
Let me
a
see.
word for each category with that letter. And there's a timer. We
It's
often use twice the time
categories.
categories. Yeah, it was a game we played years ago before we had kids when we get together with my family, my brother and sister, and there were significant others of my parents, and then we've re-brought it out recently. And I know my mom said she, finds it challenging now coming up with words with these different letters. So it's a great brain game.
Yeah.
Um, and so different ways to engage with others, start conversations, have fun, do something different. Um, Reach outside your comfort zone a little bit, but spend time with your loved ones, but think about starting those conversations. So I hope you've enjoyed this podcast today. We're glad that you joined us here. We'd love to hear from you. Leave us a comment, like, subscribe to our podcast, share it with someone you know, whether it's this particular podcast or another one that you've heard or listened to of. If you know someone else who might be interested in learning more, listening to us, please share it with them. If there's things you want to hear more about, let us know. We'd love to discuss those topics and find people to share more insights and information and resources with you. We're here to guide you on your journey as you're caring for your family and your aging loved ones. Answering questions, as my background as an occupational therapist, Don is an EFT tapping practitioner. You can see online tapping examples and sessions with links in the website. And come the new year, he'll be doing his Tuesday evening tapping again. So be on the lookout for that. You can learn all about us at focusedhealthyfamily.com. You can go to Facebook at Focused Healthy Family, Instagram, Focused Healthy Family 1, YouTube. You get to watch us in addition to hearing these podcasts on YouTube at Focused Healthy Family. Join us every Thursday where we engage in a discussion, a conversation about a topic, or we interview a guest. We've had several interviews lately, and those have been particularly fun for us and different topics that are covered. So join us. FocusedHealthyFamilyPodcast.com is another way to access the episodes and share it with people. And wishing you the safest holiday season as you travel or getting together or having extra responsibilities this holiday. And remember, how you speak to your children and your loved ones today shapes their future and yours.